I think one of the most memorable experiences that I had in school was the very first day I became a deputy head. Walk outside the school at the gate, and I remember this young boy coming up to me in a very cheeky way saying, who are you? And here's me, dressed with my suit, and typically we'd wear our three-piece suits, which myself and Inam would, compete to wear. And I turned to him and I said, I'm your new deputy. And he said, no, you're not. You're not white.
Wow.
And I said, I am. And one day you can be too. Just being able to tell him that there is a hope for him in leadership, because growing up in schools in this country, I didn't see anybody from the community that I considered home to be in positions of power and authority. But to be able to change that in just that one moment, who knows what that did.
It's moments like that that you realize the importance of role models to the children from the community. Yeah. For many years, there were a lack of Muslim teachers, but also in leadership positions. And that's one of the reasons why we were motivated and ambitious to become leaders, head teachers, governors, so that we could be role models to the youth in our community. And I just felt that part of youth school, the children didn't have to leave their identity at the school gate. They could be themselves. They didn't have to lead a dual identity. They were comfortable within themselves, who they were, the faith background they were from. They were Muslim, Pakistani, most of them.
Yeah.
And they were proud of that, and the school celebrated that. And that was a key reason why, as you mentioned, Tahir, that the school results started improving.
Did you live in that area?
Yeah, I lived literally a stone throw away from the school, 2-minute walk from the school. In fact, some of the students that I taught were, lived across the road to me, and a few actually were my neighbors. So I would actually walk with them to school, and sometimes, they would walk back with me, and the parents knew me. I was from the community, still live in the community. So for me, Parkview School had a very special place in my heart. And the fact that I had the opportunity to work there for 5 years, was just a special time.
In my life, I've worked in a lot of settings. That was probably the best setting I've ever worked in. It's the setting that my mum and dad came to see me. My parents had come to see me at that school, in that office. And it's the first time my parents, second time for my dad, but for my mum and my dad jointly to come and see me at my workplace, that my son's acting head, we're doing really well. It was such a memorable and honourable time of my life.
When we're presented with children that were not performing, the answer to why they're not performing was typically, well, they come from a migrant background, or English is an additional language, or they come from a poor background. And all of these reasons were given as to why they're underperforming. But I know people like myself began to ask different questions, and that began with, what can I do about this? How can I actually begin to value the background of these children so that when they come to school, they don't have to perform in school, they have to be themselves. And in that authenticity, they found a belonging where they then flourished. So every day for me, and I saw with other teachers, was a memorable moment, because we saw children that saw themselves in the school. Whereas I know my own experience of being a student was I never saw myself in the school. It was a curriculum I couldn't really access.
The school had a result of 4% when I joined the school. It was in special measures. So you were pretty much guaranteed a failure if your child went into the school. You were pretty much going to not get very far. So the raising of expectation was the first big challenge that we had. So one of the things that the parents always, spoke about was how poor the results were, that the children weren't doing well. So this was one of the first items I remember quite clearly, where there used to be kind of heated discussions why the school results were so low and the opportunities for the children. So when this was going on, there was a local authority advisor. He since then has passed away. He was a gentleman actually, and very honest individual, very genuine individual. And he stopped me out one of the governing body meetings. We had this discussion, and there were some sort of heated exchanges about standards and things, particularly points being raised by parents. So he stopped me outside. He said, "Tahir, can I have a word with you?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can." He said, "Do you really believe that these children can achieve 50%? Is what people are saying. Do you really believe that they can achieve that? And he was genuinely asking that question. He wasn't, because in his experience for the last 2 decades that he's been working for the local authority and dealing with schools, inner city schools such as Parkview, he has a real experience that these schools cannot achieve beyond a certain level. So that's his kind of benchmark, that's his ceiling. So he's just genuinely questioning me whether I really believe that or am I just saying it. So one of the teachers, when we sort of had this discussion with them, he said, well, how can you achieve these girls to achieve well, when they come from the the villages and the foothills of Pakistan? So the low expectation was being enforced by teachers, and also the parents had maybe low expectation as well, although they had a desire for their children, of course, but they kind of settled for far less than they should have in that sense, really. But this was the kind of school that we inherited.
When you're from the community, you can break barriers. You can challenge those kind of very persistent innuendos. I can't do this, I can't do that. So one of the things I've always taught at the secondary and primary level is children not to use the word can't. Don't ever use this word. So, and it was just breaking the learning down, making it, making them comfortable for them in themselves, in their own selves. So, it's bringing this whole human to the classroom. Fine, bring your problems, bring your issues, but, we're here, we'll tackle you, we'll challenge it. So by the end of the year, we got one of the, the highest results in the whole school. Almost every kid got A star to C grade. So
Fantastic.
we have a critical role to play in underachievement.
We have been told that all the criteria they're looking at so far, that we are scoring outstanding against every single criteria
Wow.
that they're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, every single criteria outstanding. Behavior of the children outstanding. All children walking around with great sense of purpose, and the progress from key stage, beginning of key stage 3 to key stage 4, and also GCSEs. They looked at all of this data. They said everything is outstanding. What we were discussing was, why can we not get 90%? Are you with me? We wanted to get all the children, even 100% of those children into university. That's what we were discussing. And we wanted grammar school type of results in a inner city school, which was in a very deprived area with 70% children on free school meals.
Yeah, somebody told me about the letter, that there's some letter flying around, and which suggests there's some sort of sinister group.
Not an article. Was
No,
it? Oh,
so a friend of mine, I think he's a governor at another school, and he said that his head teacher received something, and I just thought, it's an irrelevant point. Like, why are you even sharing this with me? But I thought it was nothing. I was very naive, I know. I would say that incredibly naive, because I thought if you do the right thing, if you are professional, stick by the rules, that there's no issue, nothing to worry about.
when I received the letter, I think I was at home, and I couldn't believe it. I just looked at it and I thought, with utter disbelief, I thought, this is just, defamation. This is just, it's not going to go anywhere. I didn't think nothing of it. And little and behold, a few weeks later, we're getting inspected. It was a journalist who kept ringing me on the weekend, and he slipped that you're going to have an inspection. So, and I thought to myself, how can a journalist know that we're going to have a school inspection? It was April, the last week of term, and we were exhausted, and we're getting ready for SATs.
Yeah.
Right, we're getting ready for SATs exams, so we've got a booster program in place. Kids are going to be coming over the Easter break. And then when Ofsted walked, so at that point, I knew when he slipped up on the phone that something's gone wrong. Something's gone terribly wrong here. So when Ofsted came in, they came in to inspect us, and there's 3 of them. And they said to me halfway through the inspection that we've got another inspector that's going to be joining us. And I was a school inspector myself. So I understood straight away that what this meant, exactly what Tari's saying, that they're going to put us into Section 5 inspection, which they did. and then they downgraded us from outstanding to inadequate. And I felt in my heart at the time, honestly, like a sixth sense that something so terrible, so horrific is coming.
You know, we've done our very best. I've done my very best. I've never appointed anybody that I thought wasn't good enough for the job. You although you were mentioned in the letter itself, you know, you were even invited to Downing Street, Buckingham Palace, you know, given many accolades. I just thought this was just some right-wing loonies who are just coming together and, you know, just doing something with the papers, and they're carrying, and it'll just die down. But when that happened, it was like, my career's over now.
Yeah.
Keep the faith.